This is the 7th video in the 10-part Login to Firebase with SwiftUI playlist series. We're now ready to start the authentication process, and the first step is to sign up with email and store the user ID, name, and email in a Cloud Firestore collection. Now that you hopefully have a clear understanding of the process involved, we can start coding the actions in our views. The first one we'll look at is the Sign Up view. This button will require an action that will take the information added to our form and sign us up and record the information in our user collection. This action will use the createUser function in the FB Auth file. You see that it accepts an email, name, and password, and a completion handler that is a result that has a success that is a true Boolean value if we successfully create the account, and a failure that's an error if it doesn't. If there's no error, it creates the data dictionary using the returned authenticated UID and email address and the name that was passed into the function. This uses the FBUser DataDict function. And here, because we will be using merge, we want to make sure that we don't overwrite any existing data, since this function is also used during the login function. If it's a new user, the name is not nil, and we can capture all three fields in our dictionary. Otherwise, we only need the UID and email, and I'll return to this when we get to the login function. It then calls the merge FBUser function in the FB Firestore namespace to perform the merge. This will return an error if unsuccessful. So let's use that function back in our signup view, passing the values in the values from our view model. Because we're in a closure, make sure to use self. The result will either be a success or failure, so we can switch on that. If it's a failure, let's just print out the localized description for that error. If it's a success, it will always be true, so we can just print to the console that we've created an account. What this will do is trigger a state change that will call our configuration Firebase state change handler. That will update the user info environment object, and this will in turn update the parent view of the signup sheet, which will dismiss the sheet, require a refresh of our content view that will know that I'm authenticated, so it will present the home view and retrieve that user and change the text to display the name. We'll see that in process in just a minute. But before we test it out, I want to do one more thing. You may recall in the last video that I didn't like my error handling. So let's do a better job here. At the top of signup view, let's add two state variables. A Boolean show error, which will be defaulted to false, and a error string that's going to contain the localized text for our error. Then in the failure error portion, we can replace the print statement and assign our error to the error string and change show error to true, which we can use then to trigger an alert. So we can attach that sheet to our signup view here before we assign our navigation bar title. So alert is presented on show error, and our alert title will be the text error creating account, with the message being the text that will contain our error string. And our dismiss button is just the default OK. We're almost done. But once a user is signed in, we need to be able to sign out. On our home view, our logout button only changes the is authenticated value. It doesn't actually sign you out of Firebase. Fortunately, we have a function for that. In the FB Auth file, we see that there is the logout function. It does use a result type, and we can switch on success and error, so you may wish to do a similar process as I did for our curation, and I'll leave that up to you. But for now, I'm just going to print that we've logged out. Well, we finally finished that part. Let's test. I'm going to create an account for Createx Solutions using one of my other email addresses. I'll make sure that it is a valid password and confirm and register. Seems we're successful. Notice how I'm taken to the home screen and my name is now entered into this text view. Let's verify that our user information has also been added to our Firestore user collection. Back in our Firebase console, I see that I now have a new user created in my authentication section, but the name's not there. This is not where I can keep my extra data. That's in the Cloud Firestore database. In the database, I see the users collection with a new user, and I've successfully stored all three parts: the email, the UID, and the name. Return to the app, I exit the build and run again, and notice that I'm no longer taken to the login screen. I'm still authenticated, so I'm taken to the home screen. If I log out and then build and run again, this time I am taken to the login screen. Well, we're on the home stretch now. We have 3 more things to do: code the login button, enable a password reset, and then finally, probably what you've all been waiting for, the Sign In with Apple functionality. Videos for this series are being posted as they're created, so be sure to subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to be notified when new ones are posted, not only for this playlist, but for all of my SwiftUI videos.